Welcome to Yukon Free Press Live, where we discuss topics that will affect the Yukon today and for generations to come. With your host, Micah Hoeschele. So, welcome to Yukon Free Press Live with Micah Hoeschele. Today we're on the air with Jayant Bhandari. Jayant runs a website, www.jayantbhandari.com. He writes for actingman.com and has had his articles featured on Zero Hedge, Casey Research, and many other online publications. He is on the board of directors of a number of junior mining companies, and also runs a great annual conference in Vancouver called Capitalism and Morality. Jayant, thanks for doing an interview with us. And is there anything I left out that you wanted to, with regards to your work there?
Micah, thanks very much for inviting me to talk with you. I actually no longer work as director of a company that I was working for. We actually sold the company, which made a lot of money for my shareholders. We sold the company for about $80 million, and that did a very good job for my shareholders. So that company is all over for now. Oh. But I continue to write, and I continue to do a lot of writing, a lot of speaking, and I invest a lot of my time analyzing junior mining companies.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the clarification there. And that company, that was the Gold Canyon deal, what was it not?
That's correct. It's a company called Gold Canyon which had a very large gold deposit in Canada, and we sold that to a company called First Mining Finance. And now it's run by First Mining Finance. We spun out some of the assets into a different company. But then I'm no longer a director on the board of that company.
Okay, right. And that's Irving Resources, is it not there, I guess?
That's Irving Resources, run by Akiko Levinson, and it has a major project in Japan. And I actually am a good shareholder of that company. And that company, Akiko has did very well in Gold Canyon, and I think she will likely do very well in Irving Resources as well. This is a personality-related issue. Good people do a good job in junior mining companies, and I prefer to invest with people I trust and like.
Yeah. No, that's exactly the way I like to hear it too. And I'm actually also had bought shares in Gold Canyon before they spun out, so I've had these Irving Resource shares as well. Which have been really interesting to watch over the last little while now, so it's good. Yeah, so let's get into the interview here. So Jayant, you were just in India when the Prime Minister overnight made 88% of the currency in circulation in that country virtually worthless. I was wondering if you could bring our listeners up to speed on what the effects of this have been for the Indian economy, and what the effects are yet to be felt for the Indian economy.
Well, Micah, the reality is that 97% of consumer transactions in that country are done using cash. Now, the Modi came out overnight saying that he wanted to ban 88% of monetary value of currency in circulation. It has created a massive man-made disaster in that country because suddenly the blood flow, the monetary system does not exist in that country anymore. Small businesses are failing because they don't have the cash to buy their supplies. Their buyers are not buying because buyers don't have any cash. They can't pay their workers, so the workers are losing their jobs. The vegetable market is empty, the market is empty. of India, the cash-based economy of India, is the backbone of that society. So when you kill the monetary system, the cash-based monetary system, you basically induce coma to the whole economy. It will have a horrible future effect on the country. I think the country might go into a major civil war-like situation for no good reason, because Modi, in his arrogance and looking for personal glory, has destroyed and created a lot of problems for India.
Yeah, right. No, it sounds like a very dire situation there, and it must be really hard for people. You're indoctrinated into the money system for your whole life. I mean, we all are. And to just all of a sudden have the currency you're using just basically annihilated, it must be psychologically really hard to take for people. And like you say, the whole economy comes to a standstill. It's insanity, for sure.
Micah, put that into perspective, the situation of that country. 50% of people do not have a bank account. 50% of people do not have toilets at home. 50% of the people do not have water supply or electricity. It's an extraordinarily poor and wretched country. Now, the currency that these people had in their pockets, their daily work savings, or they were probably saving some money, is suddenly worthless. The worst tax that you can do is to apply it on the poorest section of the society. Rich people don't really suffer in cases like these. It's the poorest in the society who suffer the most. They are in a desperate situation today.
Right, yeah. For like an analogy in the Western world, it would be like if all of a sudden all the power was taken away overnight or something like that. Like nobody had power anymore and you couldn't make transactions, and like you say, the poorest people would be getting the brunt of it, for sure. So, would that be a good analogy? I guess, like.
Absolutely, Micah. This bad government creates so many problems for the poor people. Regulations. Educated, smart people always find a way around repressive regulations, repressive governments. They live a life of chronic anxiety, but it's usually and always the poor people who suffer the most. And by killing and destroying the economy, what governments do is that they encourage their rich people to move their money outside the country, leaving the poor people more wretched and more poor.
Right. So I've read like your articles about the situation in India, and you think India is going to be falling into a police state or already partially there. So once, generally a dictator gets in power in a police state or something, they always need to blame somebody. Who do you think that somebody will end up being in the Indian situation? Will it be an ethnic group or a religious group, or will it be a outside enemy like Pakistan or something like this? Any
of those things are possible, Micah. The reality is that by attempting a major social engineering project, what Modi has done is that he has set in motion events that will require constant catch-up jobs. Now, Modi has been escalating tensions with Pakistan over the last few months. There is already a small-scale war with Pakistan happening. Remember, this can very easily escalate into something horrible. Now, both of these countries are quite spineless people, quite spineless armies, and quite spineless governments. So they don't really want to go on a war. What they do is that they do a lot of posturing, hoping that eventually America would come and mediate between the
Yeah.
Modi is becoming clearly a dictator. He has horrible dictatorial tendencies. I have been writing and talking about it for the last 20 years. He was alleged to be responsible for murders and rapes of thousands of Muslims in 2002. The result was that he was not allowed entry into the US and in England as a punishment for what he had done. Of course, both these countries removed the ban on him because he became the prime minister. But he has dictatorial tendencies and he wants to become an autocrat, in my view. The result is that he will do anything possible to pass the blame on someone else. What the details would be, I don't know, but I think India is on an inevitable path to become a police state, and India is on an inevitable path for an eventual disintegration into smaller countries, which should happen anyway, which will be a good outcome. But now Modi is acting as a catalyst to speed up this process.
Right. And it sounds like that process is going to play out over quite a while, and there'll be a lot of pain to go through before the country splits apart.
Absolutely, Micah. You see, I'm a Canadian national, and you and I know that if a part of Canada leaves tomorrow, no one really cares. The next day will exactly be the same day. But India has absolutely no constitutional provision for provinces to secede, which means that it is not in the mindset of India. India is not structured to be able to secede into separate parts. And this will lead to a massive amount of problems. And nationalism has grown by leaps and bounds in that country over the last couple of decades. People have become very nationalistic. So anyone who wants to leave will be pulled back in, while everyone actually is trying to leave on his own. It will create a huge amount of stresses in the society, a lot of violence. Remember, when Pakistan and India became separate countries, millions of people were butchered and raped. And this will happen again. This is a very tribal, irrational, superstitious society, almost completely lacking in moral instinct. So once you destabilize a society like that, violence is an inevitable thing that follows, and it will result into unknown problems for that region.
Yeah, for sure. I can see as the situation snowballs further out of control and more people want to go different ways, it's just going to be exponentially creating more and more problems, especially with the monetary system in a freeze up. So the next question I had for you is with the timing of the whole event, like did Modi, like what was he trying to do there? Like he's trying to cause, maximum volatility and chaos when he times it at the same time as Trump gets elected in the US, because that was already a big shakeup, and then it's like adding another big shakeup to the whole equation.
Modi certainly coincided the whole thing between Trump election and the Italian exit vote. And I think that was mostly to make sure that the international media did not pay much attention to India while this was happening in India. Now, why did he do this demonetization? It makes absolutely no sense. There can be many reasons why he might have tried that. Elections are about to happen in a few provinces in India, and most of the elections are cash-based elections. Now, his party might have, and it seems they did sort out their own cash issues while leaving other people with a lot of cash in their hands. So those other parties might not be able to compete properly in the next elections. So maybe he did it that way, but maybe he is an autocrat. He wants to centralize power all into his own hands. And by trying to make this country cashless, he might think that he can transfer the power to himself more. The reality is that you backward, which means that you can't really do electronic transactions in that country necessarily. It will, so the country has to exist as a cash society. And so I think Modi wanted to do this thing, but also he is a very simplistic thinker. He has never really done anything productive in his life. He has been a bully all his life, which means that his simplistic thinking probably made him think that he could get away with this. And he cannot get away with this. He cannot make India cashless, and it will be very hard for him to become a complete dictator in that country because it's a very diverse country. The result will be just huge volatility, huge stresses, huge social chaos that will continue for a very long time until India disintegrates into smaller countries.
Right. Well, yeah, it's quite the situation, and it's very interesting getting your perspective as somebody who's been on the ground floor and has has lots of experience with India. So it's really interesting getting your perspective. And there's really not a lot of coverage about this thing in the media. I mean, it's there if you dig for it, but you talk to people on the street and you say, what do you think about the situation in India? And these people, they don't even know there is a situation. So it seems like it seems like it's not getting the coverage it deserves, and it's great getting
absolutely.
Absolutely,
because he coincided with the whole thing with U.S. elections to avoid getting international coverage. But also, Western people tend to look at countries like India from a Western perspective. And when they think that making a country centralized or increasing regulations or making the country cashless might have worked in some of the Western countries, the reality is that the culture of India is extremely different. It's a very tribal and irrational culture. In such a society, what you really need more desperately is to decentralize, to make people get on with as separate societies, separate countries. But by trying to decentralize, you create massive problems, which might not have created the same kind of problems in the Western society, but because of the nature of the Indian societies, it will create a huge amount of problems.
Right. And I guess we're about to see the same thing almost in Europe, like with the decentralizing of a centralized state, like with Italy voting no to changing their constitution now, and Brexit and Trump being elected. It seems like Europe's heading for destabilization and disintegration too. I mean, they were already states not that long ago, only 25 years ago or something, but it seems like Europe's going to be breaking apart too. So there is a lot of volatility that's going to be going on in the world in the near future.
Indeed. You see, the concept of nation-state is no longer a viable concept. This has outlived its usefulness, and particularly in the emerging markets, these are very foreign concepts. The concept of nation-state is primarily a European concept that was imposed on Africa, South America, and Asia. So I think the first problem will be faced by emerging markets. You see a lot of problem in South America because you see problems in Venezuela, Brazil, and now you have seen a lot of problems in the Middle East. Africa has always been a place where a lot of problems happen, and now I think India is next. India is surrounded by banana republic. India will become a banana republic itself in a few years' time. So emerging markets are in a chaos, and I think quite rightly, as you said, Europe and West and North America have their own problems with over-centralization, and there are a lot of pressures on this brittle structure of the government, even in those countries.
Right. Yeah, great. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there, Jayant. We're running out of time here, but thanks a lot for doing an interview with us there. And if anybody wants to check out more of your work, where's a good spot for them to go and find you?
Because you already mentioned my website at the beginning of your talk, which is www.jayantbhandari.com, and all my articles and speeches are linked on that website.
Okay, great, Jayant. Well, wonderful to have you on, and we'll talk to you again.